they decided to center an entire promo video on these two characters.
Your dream is to be able to do this stuff, you know, knock some big guys out and like walk away and be like,
I do kind of want to stop and talk about this for a second. So if you got all this surgery, you take all these hormones to identify as masculine, not a man apparently because you're non-binary, whatever the f you want to call this. Is it really that like impressive then if you identify as a man to be beating up other men? I don't know how that works.
Gay news, Marvel just said queer rights. It finally looks like we're about to get the first major trans and non-binary characters in the MCU after Marvel just cast for their upcoming Ironheart series a trans actor.
Ironheart might actually be the queerest Marvel property since Agatha all along, and it's hella black, and my motto is make it black or make it gayer. Welcome to my safe haven. So this is something I was just thinking about that randomly popped into my head, and I'm like, I gotta make a video about it. But yeah, Ironheart is kinda hella gay.
Ironheart just dropped on Disney Plus, and it's already being called the worst MCU series yet. After Wakanda Forever, people were excited to see Riri Williams shine, but instead of a genius hero, we get a reckless, selfish version of her character with zero moral compass.
Nice you to finally join us.
Here's the squad. Clown, our pyrotechnic specialist. Stewart, tech specialist. It's not Stewart, it's Rampage.
Ironheart is crashing and burning right out the gate. Marvel's latest woke gamble is blowing up in their faces. And Bob Iger, he's reportedly losing his mind as the numbers freefall. Get ready because we're diving straight into the chaos that Disney and Marvel cooked up with their so-called next big hit, Ironheart. Or should I say, Iron Flop.
Ironheart just dropped on Disney Plus, and it's already being called the worst MCU series yet. After Wakanda Forever, people were excited to see Riri Williams shine, but instead of a genius hero, we get a reckless, selfish version of her character with zero moral compass. The story's a mess. She gets kicked out of MIT, joins a gang for money, and somehow, nobody questions her shady behavior. The villain? A magic-wielding guy in a red hoodie who bends bullets, but still needs backup for no reason. The action scenes? Flat and full of bad CGI. Even the big AI twist, something that could have been deep and emotional, is rushed and poorly written. It's not the diverse cast that's the problem. It's the weak plot, sloppy pacing, and empty characters. This one might actually be worse than Secret Invasion, and that says a lot.
It honestly takes a wild amount of effort to drop a show this bland, this tone-deaf, this empty, and still try to sell it like it's the second coming of superhero TV. But Disney? Oh, they've got that fake success formula locked down. Slap on a rainbow flag, shout diversity, ignore the weak storytelling, and then act totally shocked when the fans vanish faster than opening weekend ticket sales.
Nice you to finally join us.
Here's the squad. Clown, our pyrotechnic specialist. Stewart, tech specialist. It's not Stewart, it's Rampage. Slug, our hacker extraordinaire. John, HR.
Hi, I'm John. My parents didn't say I love you, so now I play with knives.
That was actually funny.
Trash! What's trash? Delete!
God
Uninstall!
damn.
Trash! Trash!
And before we get into the mess happening behind the scenes, let's just keep it real. Nobody, and I mean nobody, was asking for Ironheart. This is a character from a comic that straight up got canceled back in 2016. Canceled not because of trolls or some angry fanboys, but because no one was buying it. No one cared. It flopped in the comics, plain and simple. But instead of letting it quietly fade away, Disney dragged this dead project out of the grave, threw $1 million PR makeover on it, and tried to parade it around like it's the future of the MCU. Riri Williams, a character who popped up with no real backstory, no emotional hook, and zero connection to the fans who actually built this franchise. And now she's played by Dominique Thorne, who, let's be honest, seems to think arguing with fans on social media is some kind of genius promo strategy for a show that's sinking fast. You'd figure she'd spend her energy on leveling up her performance, or maybe, just maybe, taking some of the legit criticism seriously. But nope. She's going scorched earth. According to her and some defenders, if you're not loving Ironheart, then guess what? You're the problem. You're sexist, you're racist, or you just don't understand. Same tired accusations we've heard 1,000,000 times before. But let's get into the real drama happening in Marvel's boardrooms right now. Bob Iger, Nah, let's call him Bob Liger, because at this point, the man's spinning more stories than a tabloid. Bob's in straight-up panic mode. His precious streaming empire is crashing. Marvel's reputation is dragging through the mud, and Ironheart, man, that show's got all the excitement of soggy cardboard. So what's Bob's genius fix? A press release. Yep, classic corporate spin. And what does this press release say? Get this. It claims Ironheart is actually a huge success. No joke, Bob straight up says, and I quote, "This show is a wide success regardless of what you've been hearing." Translation, forget your own eyes, forget the numbers. Just believe Bob. Everything's fine, right? It's like watching the Titanic go down while the captain's yelling, "Relax! This is just an upgraded swimming pool." Unreal. But here's where it gets even wilder. Bob claims Disney's never been part of any culture war. Really, Bob? Are we even watching the same shows? You're telling me The Acolyte wasn't basically a lightsaber-filled gender studies class? Or that She-Hulk wasn't like scrolling through a man-bashing TikTok feed dressed up as a courtroom comedy? And now you expect us to believe Ironheart isn't built around a narrative from the ground up? Come on! But Bob doesn't stop there. Oh no, he doubles down. He flat out says there are times when diversity, equity, and inclusion should be valued more than the story itself. Boom. There it is. The confession. The headline moment. Story doesn't matter anymore. Your entertainment, your expectations, tossed aside like yesterday's news. Because apparently filling corporate quotas is the top priority now. And let's be clear, I'm not against representation. Nobody's saying diverse casts or stories are a bad thing. But when representation becomes the product instead of serving the story, that's where everything falls apart. You can have diversity and great storytelling. Why is that so hard for them to figure out? You can shine a spotlight on different communities and still tell a fire story. But what Disney's doing? That ain't representation. It's billion-dollar cosplay mixed with cheap virtue signaling vibes.
They decided to center an entire promo video on these two characters.
Your dream is to be able to do this stuff, you know, knock some big guys out and like walk away and be like,
I do kind of want to stop and talk about this for a second. So if you got all this surgery, you take all these hormones to identify as masculine, not a man apparently because you're non-binary, whatever the you want to call this. Is it really that like impressive then if you identify as a man to be beating up other men? I don't know how that works. But that's only one. You got to introduce the drag queen as well.
I love that we have Zoe Charakis and Shea Coulee in powerful positions.
I flipped a guy.
Yeah. And punched him.
And I punched him.
It's really mind-blowing to come into my first scripted series and have it be in the MCU. After starting on a Marvel show, like, where do I go from here?
And now that the audience is finally calling them out, what's Disney's move? Do they reflect? Do they learn? Do they switch things up? Nope. They double down and start scolding the fans like we're the problem for not getting the vision. Unreal. And here's the wild part. Even people from the LGBTQ community are speaking out, saying this stuff feels lazy and flat out disrespectful. When your own target audience says, this ain't it, maybe, just maybe, it's not the audience that's the issue. Maybe it's Disney fumbling the bag big time.
There's no doubt about it that the Ironheart series is definitely by far the worst creation by the Marvel Cinematic Universe, by Marvel Studios and the Disney company for obvious reasons. We all know that there's an agenda and there's a lot of messaging behind this show, but one thing is for certain about this series is that all agendas aside, let's be very real about this. There's a lack of character development. The directing, the producing, the writing is just way off. It makes no sense at all, and it's very lackluster. There's no depth to it all, and we already know that the first 3 episodes pretty much were labeled as abysmal by many Marvel fans out there. You go over to Rotten Tomatoes, even the regular critics are not enjoying the show to its fullest. It's standing around 70-some% on Rotten Tomatoes. But when you look at the audience score, it is dumped at 59% at this point.
But wait, Bob's not done throwing Hail Marys? Nope. He's pulling out his next wild card, Mephisto! That's right. Sacha Baron Cohen is officially joining the MCU as the devil himself. Sounds epic, right? Hold up, don't get hyped just yet. You really think Disney Plus is about to give us the comic-accurate, nightmare fuel version of Mephisto we've been waiting for since WandaVision teased him 3 years ago? Not a chance. This is Disney Plus, so expect the watered-down, family-friendly version. Picture this: Mephisto driving a Tesla, cracking corny jokes, and giving TED Talks in hell about toxic masculinity. Same play they tried to run in The Acolyte with Darth Plagueis. Remember that awkward last-minute drop? Like they thought dropping a legendary name was gonna revive that show's dead hype. Fans waited over a decade to see that character, and what did they get? A big, fat nothing. Ratings still crashed, hype still died, viewers still bounced. And you know why? Because fans don't want their favorite villains and legends tossed into a sloppy project just to make it trend for a day. You can't slap Darth Plagueis into a storyline that feels like it was written by some AI bot fed a bunch of gender studies essays and expect fans to eat it up. That's not storytelling. That's lazy marketing dressed up like content. You don't hook the fans with hype and then slap them in the face right after. That's not storytelling, that's straight up grifting. That's how studios with zero vision and zero connection to their audience operate. And now, they're running the same tired play again. They really think Mephisto, yes, finally, Mephisto, is gonna swoop in and save Ironheart? They seriously believe Sacha Baron Cohen popping up for a quick cameo is the golden ticket, the miracle cure, the magical fix that's gonna make fans suddenly beg for a second season. Beg for more Ironheart. Beg for more stiff dialogue. Beg for more long-winded speeches about systemic injustice squeezed between cringy one-liners. Yeah, no one's begging for that. Let's be real here. Fans didn't want Mephisto jammed into this mess. Fans wanted Mephisto back in WandaVision when it actually made sense, or in Doctor Strange, Blade, Moon Knight, places where the dark, creepy vibe fits, where the stakes are real, where the tone actually matches the character. But no, Disney tossed him into this hollow, forgettable show like he's some cheap toy surprise at the bottom of a cereal box. And guess what? Nobody's buying it. You know what would have made sense? Ghost Rider, Blade, Midnight Suns. Give us some real dark Marvel energy. But instead we get Velma 2.0 wearing a Wakandan Iron Man suit. I wish I was kidding, but I'm not. There's literally a character named Zelma who talks, looks, and acts like someone copy-pasted her straight out of HBO Max's Velma. You can practically hear the pitch meeting. Hey, what if we grab a character nobody liked from another flop and stuff her in here too? That'll totally fix things. Yeah, real creative spark there. But let's get down to reality, the cold, hard numbers. This show isn't just underperforming. It's sinking, crashing, falling faster than Captain Marvel's box office drop-off. This thing is collapsing like a bad stunt gone wrong. Man, the viewership is so bad on this one that Disney's straight up hiding the numbers. When a show's crushing it, they blast those stats everywhere. Front page, billboards, you name it. But when it's falling apart, suddenly crickets. Suddenly, the Nielsen ratings disappear like a magician's trick. Suddenly, engagement becomes the new buzzword, replacing real viewership numbers. Let's be honest, Disney dumped millions into this show. Marketing campaigns, pricey VFX, endless reshoots, influencer deals, paid Twitter spaces, the whole bag. Honestly, it's a miracle they didn't just stack that money in the parking lot and light it on fire for views. And now that it's tanking, what's the move? Blame the audience again. Like we didn't see this coming from a mile away. And there's Kevin Feige still smiling like it's all good, still pushing this wild idea that Riri Williams is the future of the MCU, like she's Tony Stark 2.0. Kevin, my guy, you had Robert Downey Jr., arguably the most perfect casting in superhero history. And now your evolution plan is replacing him with a character so flat she couldn't even hold her own in Secret Invasion? Let's call it what it is. Riri Williams isn't Iron Man 2.0. She's Iron Man 0.2. A placeholder, a walking brand extension, a marketing checklist in a metal suit. Nobody's quoting her lines, nobody's breaking down her story arcs, nobody's sitting around hyped to see where she pops up next. You know why? Because she's not doing anything. She just drifts through scenes, drops some clunky dialogue about oppression, and occasionally reminds you how smart she is, only because the script keeps telling you she's smart. And here's the part Disney just refuses to face. The fans are done. They're burnt out, drained, emotionally tapped from a studio that used to care, and now just lectures them at every turn. Marvel fatigue, it's real, it's terminal. And the fix isn't throwing more diversity panels at the problem. It's not rainbow-colored marketing campaigns. The fix is getting back to making stories people actually want to watch. But instead of fixing the real problems, Disney's doubling down again. Now there's talk they're fast-tracking a crossover event where Ironheart teams up with characters from failed Disney Plus shows. Yeah, you heard that right. Picture Riri Williams, Ms. Marvel, Echo, and whoever else didn't move the needle, all crammed into one giant mess of a storyline. And what's the pitch? The Young Avengers. Except nobody's asking for it. Disney thinks throwing a bunch of underwhelming characters together will somehow equal success. Like it's some magic combo meal fans didn't order, but suddenly have to eat. But this ain't Avengers 2012. There's no excitement, no build-up, no chemistry, just a desperate grab for nostalgia points they haven't earned. And guess what? Word on the street says the budget for this crossover is massive. They're spending big, hoping that slapping all these characters into one project will buy back the hype they lost. But you can't manufacture hype when nobody's emotionally invested. You can't force fans to care when the characters themselves barely leave an impact. Let's break it down. Ironheart's struggling, Ms. Marvel's numbers were soft, Echo came and went without a whisper, and now they want to call this the next big MCU phase? Come on! This lineup looks less like a superhero squad and more like a group project where no one did their homework. And through all this, what's missing? Heart, soul, purpose. These characters were supposed to inspire, challenge, and lead the next generation of heroes. But Disney forgot one key thing. You gotta make people care first. You can't skip that step. But no, instead of fixing the writing or deepening the character arcs, they'll probably just toss in another surprise cameo, throw on some flashy VFX, and hope we don't notice the story's still empty inside. Spoiler alert, we notice, and if they keep going down this road, the MCU's future ain't heroic, it's tragic. And now, the latest buzz says Disney's already cooking up spin-offs from Ironheart. Spin-offs from a show that can't even hold its own audience. Talk about putting the cart before the horse. Rumor has it they're eyeing solo projects for side characters nobody asked for. Like we're all sitting here begging for a Zelma series or a solo show about some sidekick who had 5 minutes of screen time. This is the classic Disney playbook now. Build a universe around characters no one's connected to, instead of earning it through good stories first. Back in the day, characters like Iron Man and Captain America got solo movies that made us care. Now, they expect you to care first, and maybe they'll give you a story worth your time later. And the wild part? They're hyping these spin-offs in the press like it's a done deal, like fans are on the edge of their seats waiting. But out here in reality, nobody's talking about it. No trending hashtags, no fan theories, no midnight release hype, just silence. And what's Disney's response when fans don't show up? Same tired move, they'll spin it. They'll say, the fan base is evolving, or people who don't like it are stuck in the past, or my favorite, it wasn't made for you. That excuse again. Here's the truth, great stories are for everyone. The old MCU didn't divide the room. It packed theaters with all kinds of people because it was good. It was fun. It had heart, humor, and real stakes. But now, they're putting the message before the movie, the agenda before the adventure, and that's why these projects keep falling flat. If Disney keeps going down this road where they build hype on spreadsheets instead of passion, the MCU's not expanding, it's collapsing. Piece by piece, show by show, they're burning the legacy they built. And when it's all said and done, they won't be able to blame the fans for walking away. The fans tried to stick around, but you can only sell people empty hype for so long before they stop buying. The cure's simple, tell good stories, build strong characters, and give us real stakes. Remember when Marvel used to do that? Instead, we get this awkward corporate Frankenstein, something that was never made for the fans in the first place. Ironheart isn't a show. It's a mission statement. It's not entertainment. It's a PowerPoint presentation wearing a superhero costume. Let's call it what it is, corporate activism hiding behind a Marvel logo. You can't just swap out beloved legacy heroes and replace them with empty characters built to check boxes and expect people to cheer. You can't keep writing dialogue that sounds like it was ripped from a LinkedIn diversity webinar and expect the audience to care. People aren't dumb. They see right through it. They're not upset because there's diversity. They're upset because there's no heart, no soul, no spark. Just box checking and trending hashtags. And here's the part Disney doesn't want to admit. Even the communities they claim to represent are turning on them. Even LGBTQ fans are saying this stuff feels lazy, forced, and straight up condescending. When the people you say you're uplifting call your work broken, that's when you know it's not just bad. It's falling apart at the seams. So where does Marvel go from here? We wait. We wait to see if Fantastic Four finally pulls them out of the rubble. We wait to see if Doomsday 2026 brings back the magic of real storytelling, or if it's just more digital cosplay, surface-level punchlines, and hollow scripts. But most of all, we remember. We remember what made Marvel great in the first place. When it respected its characters, when it trusted the fans, when it earned your applause instead of demanding it from a stage surrounded by flashing logos and empty promises. That's the Marvel people loved. The one that didn't need to tell you it was great. Because it showed you. Not quotas, not lectures, not this fake inclusivity built to hit ESG scores and make stockholders smile. What built the MCU was stories, real, human stories. Characters we could care about, characters that made us laugh, cry, and cheer, emotion, heart, grit. That's what made Marvel unstoppable. But until they figure that out again, until they stop turning their shows into political pamphlets wrapped in shiny CGI, until they quit gaslighting the same fans who made them rich while still begging for applause, Marvel's just gonna keep sliding downhill. The MCU won't expand anymore. It'll shrink, piece by piece, flop by flop, and Ironheart won't be remembered as some new chapter of greatness. Nope. It'll be remembered as the moment it all fell apart, one shallow checkbox at a time. But hey, that's just how it's looking right now. Maybe they'll turn it around. Maybe. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this breakdown, do me a favor, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this video with someone who still remembers when Marvel actually cared about its fans. And don't forget, click on the next video you see on the screen for even more celebrity drama, wild Hollywood controversies, and behind-the-scenes chaos you won't believe. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay sharp.